What's your best I just made a complete fool of myself but I'm going to act like it didn't happen story. 14 years old, walking to the bus stop on my way home from school. Had the itchiest butthole ever. So freaking itchy that it was affecting the way I walked and tears were beginning to form in my eyes. It was becoming so painful, but I was on a main road with cars going past me every second. I hear a break in traffic and with no cars in sight, so I indulge in the most personally invasive act of itching I've ever performed. Practically fingering my own butthole through my school trousers. At that moment, a bus filled with the girls' hockey team comes out of freaking nowhere and drives past me while I was publicly poking my prostate. The looks of shock and disgust on their faces still makes me cringe, but the next day at school when one of them confronted me about it, I just flat out denied that I was there and said that my uncle had picked me up from school and taken me bowling. They bought it and nobody ever mentioned it again, until I couldn't think of an appropriate Reddit username. TLDR. A busload of my female classmates caught me fingering my itchy butthole on a public road. Life tip: kneel down and tie your shoe. Gracefully use your other foot's heel to scratch your butt. Back in high school, I liked this girl who was really into boy bands. So I did the logical thing. I gave her a video of me lip syncing to the Backstreet Boys. Problem was I couldn't dance, and I had to do all the parts. The only part I knew how to do well were the hip gyrations, so this was obviously terrible. The girl I liked thought it was super lame, and showed all her friends. The next day, the whole group of them approached my locker, and asked in their most mocking voice, "What is this?" I paused for a bit, and then said, "It's what I like to call a Ben Stiller style tribute. Girl likes boy band, I like girl. Must videotape myself acting like a boy band member." There couldn't be a more sound adolescent logic. Med school interview. Incredibly nervous 17-year-old me had a stomach rumbling before the interview. Just as my name is called, it all settles down and I breathe a sigh of relief. Walk into the interview, shake hands with my interviewers, sit down, get asked my first question and let out a huge fart. I just salvaged the entire situation by talking about my first work experience at a hospital. They said nothing. I was offered a place. I was wearing these really high heels and fell down a flight of stairs at a frat party. I managed to save most of my beer and just stood up and pretended it never happened. Someone asked me if I was the girl that fell down the stairs and I faked surprise and concern for the girl who fell. He knew. Not me, but another kid in my high school, kind of a little nerdy kid, was carrying a fuck ton of books and going down the stairs. He trips, and instead of dropping the books to catch himself with his hands, he turns sideways, and as the tuck-and roll down the stairs, rolled down the entire flight sideways with his head pulled in and clinging to his books for dear life. He timed it so that when he got to the second to last step, he spun himself 90 degrees again, no hands, and landed on his feet at the bottom. Stood up, adjusted his glasses with his index finger and walked off like nothing happened. Like a boss. I'm laughing but with complete admiration. Was rock climbing trying to impress some girls, flying up and down the wall. Crap, I'm so badass. I come down and unhook from the rope and start to take off that thing you wear around your waist. The girls are surrounding me talking to me. Damn, that shoots on really tight, I'm gonna really need to tug hard. I pull and perfect. My pants are now on the ground. I looked at them, pulled up my pants and continued the conversation as if that's supposed to happen. Should have followed up with a nice ladies. Wet weather. Roads heck wet. Trying to beat the traffic lights and make a tight turn. Start skidding and losing control as I accidentally start drifting through the intersection. Manage to regain control via James Bond moves just before the point I would have smashed into other traffic. Drive on like nothing happened. Had to pull over a kilometer down the road and have a little cry at how near death the whole thing felt. I'm sure I looked bad but to the watching oncoming traffic. I was out in the ocean a few years ago, and there are a bunch of lifeguards training around me. I was boogie boarding, and all of a sudden, a larger than most wave came and hit my board into the family jewels. It immediately caused me to throw up. I was fine afterward, and just swam away like nothing happened, even though every single lifeguard saw. I was also really tall, pale and lanky, so it was even more awkward around these beautiful, buff tan men. It was getting quite late and everyone was going to sleep. Everyone except me. I was starting to get quite tired. I decided to do what any respectable guy would do before bed. I took off my pants and clicked my favorite P website. Little did I know, I made a rookie mistake by not locking the door. About halfway in, my door opens. I quickly pull up my pants and wore my best bad poker face expression. It was my best friend's girlfriend, asking for a ride home. It was the bad poker face that gave me away. She started to apologize profusely. Being the nice guy that I am, I decided to give her a ride home anyways. That must have been an awkward car journey. Every time I fart, they just slip out all the time. I normally try to cough really loud to try to cover it up. Doesn't always work. One time I was in bed and my friend was sitting down. I farted and coughed, and she thought it was her cell phone vibrating. Well, the smell then debunked that theory. I also started laughing. That probably didn't help. Didn't happen to me, but back in high school I was walking somewhere in between classes, so the halls were deserted basically. As I walking up the huge main staircase, there is a chick walking down. So she trips, falls, rolls down the stairs, and somehow manages to end it all in with a great face plant. I tried do my whole OMG are you okay dealio. I mean, she was pretty attractive too. She got up immediately, said fine and speed walked away. A week ago, I was at a Christmas party, was holding my 1-year-old, and talking to this old dude. In one swift movement, my daughter grabbed my shirt and bra, threw the shirt, and threw herself out of my arms. With no warning, my left boob was completely exposed to everyone at the party. The only positive, for me, anyway, was that I was able to catch the kid before she hit the ground. I was horrified and didn't know what to do, so I just covered back up and continued on with the conversation like nothing happened. I'm pretty clumsy and always bump into or hit things and have to pretend it didn't happen. Once, I tripped over my boyfriend's leg, hit the door face first, then fell onto an armchair. I got up and walked it off like a boss. I'm not sure if it's better to play that off, or do as one friend of mine does, and apologize to the inanimate object she just bumped into. Waitressing at this dude ranch and company. It's early morning breakfast, and waitressing isn't exactly one of my talents. I'm carrying this huge tray of cream if wheat to this table of super grumpy people. As I go to set the tray down on the tray jack, we're short staffed so there aren't any buses. The whole thing flips and cream of wheat goes everywhere, all over my table, and makes a huge ruckus. The whole dining room goes silent. I stood up straight, took an elaborate Shakespearean bow, and grabbed those plates and got the duck out. Bless those grumpy dude ranch diners, they gave me a $50 tip. I was in 7th grade in class and I stuck a Powerade bottle in my jacket sleeve. I then proceeded to flail the sleeve around for no reason. The Powerade fell out of my sleeve, hit the floor, and burst open, spilling all in the aisle. I then grabbed my gym bag and threw it in the mess to cover it up. My teacher then said, "Myrtle, I understand how your drink could have spilled, but why did you throw your gym bag in it?" My track coach was telling us about how when he ran the mile when he was in high school, the kid in front of him crapped his pants and it got everywhere. The kid kept running. I have heard this is quite common during long distance running. Okay guys, I got this. I am at my parents' house for Christmas break. I couldn't sleep too well last night, so I was browsing our fitness. I thought convict conditioning sounded interesting, so I pirated it and decided to start on the basic first steps, as I couldn't freaking sleep. There wasn't enough floor space in my room to do wall headstands, so I went to the landing on the stairs. I misjudged the space and missed the wall and kind of somersaulted into the wall. There is now a huge 4x4 freaking hole in the bottom of the wall. I have no idea how I could explain to my dad that I was doing wall headstands at 3 AM and broke the wall. I am just going to deny any knowledge of such an event. In a few years, I plan on writing a book about if I did it. TLDR. Couldn't sleep last night. Did wall headstands at 3 AM. Broke the wall. Denying it. Okay guys, I got this. Famous last words, or how my friends know I'm about to do something really dumb and dangerous. Not me, but a guy I used to live with. Most people, after excessive consumption of alcohol, will chunder violently to remove it from their system. My housemate does not. One evening, he stumbled back in the house after a night of particularly heavy drinking, sits on the couch, and proceeds to start telling me how wasted he got. Around this time, it started to smell a little. I assumed this was just gas on his part. He then decided to see what the free VOP options on the TV were. Not much. Frequently coming across Granny P and laughing his drunken head off. The smell was increasing. Minutes later, he waddled through to the bathroom. He was still in there quarter of an hour later, so I thought frick it, and went to bed. The next morning, large portions of the bathroom were covered in crap. Toilet seat, toilet bowl, the bath. Somehow, there were fecal footprints through the lounge, to the bathroom, to his bedroom. Further inspection revealed that somehow the suit jacket he'd been wearing was also coated in crap. Turns out he'd been pooing himself since he got back without noticing. The waddling occurred when he finally realized, but by then it was far too late. Trickling had occurred, and it had pulled around his shoes, hence the footprints. He eventually deliberately destroyed the suit rather than send it to the dry cleaners. Can't say I blame him. He also claimed the dung-covered shoes were courtesy of dog muck he'd stepped in, not to us, to his parents, so they'd clean them for him. The only thing he said to us about it was please don't tell any girls. TL. DR. I ran out of synonyms for poop courtesy of my housemate. I always feel like a complete fool when I trip over my own feet in public, but a few years ago, I started conditioning myself to laugh whenever this happens. Now whenever I trip, I automatically smile and or chuckle, which goes one of two ways. 1. If I am with people, they start laughing at me and it looks like I'm just laughing with them and thus makes me look super cool and able to take a joke. 2. If I am alone, I look like a super creeper who just started laughing to herself after almost falling on her face. If you trip, just bust out dancing. It'll lighten the mood and then you don't have to be awkwardly laughing. So I'm in Disney, and I had just replaced my old pad with a fresh one in the bathroom. I rejoined my sister to go get something to eat. The fatal flaw. I was wearing short shorts that were a little tight on me, so after about 2 minutes of walking around, the new pad falls off, onto the street. I didn't even realize what had fell, so when I turned around to see, I just kind of started at it. Upon that realization that it was in fact my pad, I freaked out, threw it away, while my sister laughed her butt off. I made my way to the next bathroom, and put on a new pad. My sister told the story to our mother, who laughed so hard, she cried. Good times. I just spent 30 minutes trying to describe a story that ended with me sticking my arm through a subway door trying to get home while that same door made my burning hot coffee explode over the train car. I then erased the entire 8-paragraph story. Just act like no one noticed, it will all be over soon. Party at my house back in my 20s. Drunk as heck. GF at the time sitting on crowded couch resting her head on me, saying she needs to pass out. Decide to try one of those like a boss type things and carry her to my room so she can lie down. Movie hero style. I mean crap, she was maybe 105 pounds. Pick her up. Take one step back. Immediately my legs crumple and I fall to the floor in a heap. Everyone was highly amused. Managed to cushion her fall at least. I was in a fancy restaurant in NYC and I went in to take a pee. I say hi to the attendant in the bathroom and take a pee. I wash up and tip the attendant $5 because that is what I had on me. The attendant, who was not actually an attendant, said, "What is this? I'm not the bathroom attendant. I am a customer too." I did not miss a beat and told him, "Giving people $5 is just something I do," and scurried away from the bathroom. As I am sat down again, I can see the guy sitting back down with his group and laughing and showing his table the $5 I gave him. He was an older black guy in a tux. He looked like a bathroom attendant that a fancy place might have. Dang. I was very glad that they could not see me in the part of the restaurant I was sitting and glowing red. My wife's laughter did not help. I don't think the red glow of shame left my ears for an hour or so. I just give strangers finskies from time to time. It's really not a big deal. So many comments. This will not be seen equals. I just got a new job in a place that is mainly employed by men. I'm a lady. The other day at work I was walking back to my office. I was outside and I walk up on a pigeon just chilling on the ground. I stop and it just stares at me. So I say to the pigeon, "Are you hurt?" Pigeon stares. I decide to slide my foot at it to give it a scare. I'm about 12 inches away from it. The pigeon puts its wings up and coo a little and step towards me. We have a little stare off for a good 15 seconds. Me with my foot extended out at the pigeon in a ninja stance and the pigeon with his wings up. I suddenly yell "Fear me" at the pigeon. It freaks and flies off. Feeling like bad, but I look up, smiling, to walk into my office, only to see 4 of my new co-workers standing staring at me like this. Oh zero. I freeze in place and instantly drop my smile. We proceed to have a 10-second stare off. Then I proceed to slowly walk to the door, open it and back into the room, still staring at them. You should have put your foot up again and yelled "Fear me." I walked outside to my car to find that someone had parked behind it blocking me in. I figured it must be someone in the restaurant next door where they were having trivia night, so I walked in to figure out who it was. I walked up to the trivia guy and said, "Some idiot parked behind me. Could you make an announcement so they can move their car?" The trivia guy says, "Oh, that would be my car." At that point, there was only one thing to do. I looked him in the eyes and said, "Well, can you move it, idiot?" Walked out like a boss. I imagined you looking away coyly as you said "idiot," with your voice trailing off. When I was in college, one of my roommates got a high budget pee. Naturally, a bunch of guys wanted to see it, so the roommate decided to show them a little clip so they would all go away and he could watch it. As 5 of us gathered around the computer watching the clip, one of the girls from down the hall walked in the room. She saw what was going on and said, "What the heck are you guys doing?" without missing a beat. The roommate says in a normal voice, "We're watching pee. What does it look like?" and turns back to the screen like a boss. I've never been so proud. So brave. One day I heard an ice cream truck coming through my apt complex. I grabbed my wallet and ran to the door and swung it open, and suddenly realized that I was only wearing boxers, and there was a group of people on the landing outside. I knew if I didn't go out then I wouldn't get ice cream. So, no fricks were given and I got my ice cream with a helping of concerned stares. Sitting in 9th grade English class playing with a stapler trying to see how far I could get the staple to pop out before it ejected. Promptly shot one through my pinky and screamed crap. Teacher asked what happened and I said I was just reading ahead and got overexcited. Got written up and an embarrassing nurse visit. In a shooting competition team I used to be part of, there were tiers of shooters by ability: Tiro, sharpshooter, expert and master. During a Tiro match, teams have the ability to coach one another during the slow fire phase, 10 rounds in 10 minutes. I was once explaining how to look down the sights and said, "Now don't pull the trigger, but I'm gonna explain something to you." He has the gun up looking down at the target and I'm pointing at the weapon explaining about sights. He pulls the trigger as I'm pointing towards the forward sight and I immediately step back and have my hand down at my side as I quickly retreat to the back of the shooting range, trying to play it cool as I check to make sure I still have a pointer finger. I did, but I sure as heck got spooked pretty good. I'm a cop and in the military. Halfway through this story I said, "Nope, that's a bad idea." Today, I called a woman at work a fatsy and quit my job on the spot. I am going to walk into work tomorrow as if it never happened. You have to provide an update for this. In 2nd grade I walked into a metal pole on the way back to the classroom after recess. My teacher kept asking me in front of the entire class why there was a big red lump on the side of my forehead and told me to go to the nurse. But I insisted nothing happened and I felt fine. I had a friend who did the same thing. Only they hit the pole full sprint and cut their head open. The teacher took off her white sweater to sop up the gushing blood. I always thought I wouldn't have ruined me sweater for that. I don't have a really good one, but I was on the bus listening to my headphones and also had my name badge around my neck from work. Somehow, in going to take off the name badge, I almost choked myself with my headphones. Pretended no one noticed. In my undergrad days I was looking at the spectroscopic and chemical properties of azo dyes. Anyway, though we were doing it as part of chemistry, due to timetabling or something we were sharing the lab with some 3rd year behavioral biologists, who were doing something or another involving rats, can't quite recall what. They had a big cage full of the buggers, around about 20, to the side of where they were doing all their stuff. Anyway, I had made up my dye, which was bright red, and I had to take a beaker of it over to the spectrophotometer, which was the other side of the lab. Anyway, while I was taking it over, my lab partner called over to me from our side of our lab. I carried on walking and tripped over the dang cage. I managed to hold onto the beaker, but had spilled almost all of the dye on myself and the rats. I got up and carried on walking wearing a partially pink lab coat and leaving behind a cage of mostly pink rats. I had to close my office door. Edit 10 minutes later still laughing, remembering my time when I exploded a titration funnel setup of potassium permanganate in high school. Hit everything around me except myself. I think it exploded upwards of something. Story 1. About 10 years old, hanging out in my basement with a friend. Jumping on the couch, because it was cool at the time, and somehow tripped, fell and smashed my face on the arm of the couch. Never said a word. Got up, kept jumping. My face was redder than the fabric, but I was too cool for that crap. Story 2. I have horrible word fail sometimes. I can't get the right word and I swear it's going to be Alzheimer's eventually. Regardless, I had some family over for post-holiday brunch of leftover goodness. We're all seated at the table and I realize I'm missing a drink. So I ask husband, who's nearest to the appropriate cupboard, "Can you get me a bowl, like for a drink?" He understands and gets me a drink. I choose to focus on my meal and ignore the WTF looks of family. Do crossword puzzles. It will help your current vocabulary and they've been said to combat Alzheimer's. Got drunk with brother and friend. Got ride home. Walked in the house and fell on the Christmas tree. Got mad at the tree and tackled it. Punched tree the while it was down. Got up and pulled my dong out and start pee on the dining room table. Wife wakes up after the fight with the tree and shakes me awake asking what the frick I'm doing. I tell her I'm sleeping, leave me alone. She claims I'm pee on the table. I call her a fricking liar. She counters with some absurd allegation that I am currently pee on the table. Look down and see myself pee on the table. I accuse her of pee on the table. I storm off to bed. She cleans my pee off the table and sets about picking the Christmas tree up and putting ornaments back on. I come storming out of the bedroom angry that she's helping the tree after the tree started the fight, tackle the tree again, and storm off to bed. You're the kind of person who shouldn't get drunk. Okay, so it was the first week of college, and my school has this giant welcome week thing. Every freshman is put into a group with about 10 others to get to know and whatnot. Well, at the end of the week we had a lip sync competition where we had to choreograph a dance. We got an Elvis song. We weren't gonna win. We knew that, but dang did we try. We had a girl who used to do show theater in our group, and so she made our dance for us. Somehow, we ended up with more guys than girls in our group, which still frustrates me since my school has a ration of 70-30 guy to girl, but we decided to put the girls in front toward the end of our dance. So, as us guys are high leg kicking our way to the back of the stage, the guy next to me takes one step too far and steps off the back of the stage. Now, I was counting on him to know when to stop, so when he didn't, I managed fall backwards, both legs in the air trying to learn to fly very quick. Broke through the curtain in front of the whole freshman class. Ratio. The word is ratio. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.